All right, good evening, YouTube. Welcome to episode 16 of D&D Sports Chat. We're going to be going live here in just a momento.
Just so everybody knows, Derek and I are both wearing
wrestling
shirts.
Yes.
Drinking wrestling mugs. We're hardcore nerd up here.
Yeah. All right, you ready to go live?
Let's do it.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 16 of D&D Sports Chat, coming to you live from the studio here in Garden City, Michigan. It is Wednesday, June the 1st, 2016. How about that? Summer is officially here.
Not yet.
Not quite yet,
Not
but
technically.
this weather, though, I think you can safe to say it's sticking around for a while.
Muggy out there.
It is
It's
muggy,
raining.
but we finally got some rain. It actually saved me from going outside to water some of the plants because I thought I was going to have to. They were starting to look kind of droopy.
Oh,
So I'm glad that I was able to get or have the rain take care of that for me.
Awesome.
So we're all nice and relaxed after a nice solid 4-day holiday weekend. You went out of town, had some fun. I went up north. I think Justin, he went out of town too, had a fun time. We all kind of got away. Much needed relaxation.
We all did get away, and I did a little bit of fishing, and
I did some shooting.
yeah,
And,
I'm proud to see that you did pretty well.
Very well. I mean, I could call it beginner's luck, but I definitely want to get to the range.
All right.
I'll prefer
See how
shooting
you do there.
I'll prefer shooting in the outdoors, but I mean, it's no
Me
different.
too. I've never done
It's
that
no
before.
different. But I mean, when you use trees as targets, I don't know, man.
Be careful
you
there.
feel a lot more open and just a lot more safe, I guess. But yeah, it was a fun time. So to kick things off tonight, you have your odd story of the week, which I guess you could say this is kind of odd because not many people go through this, and
No, I don't know anybody that's done this before.
but the only question I guess that I can ask is,
You want to know how I got these scars?
so go ahead and tell us about what that means.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you a little backstory, then I'll zip right in. I've always struggled with, it's a family beauty mark, warts, skin tags, whatever you want to call them.
No fun.
I've always had this one on my eye, and went to several offices, doctor's offices and stuff like that, and they said it's at risk to get it removed. I've been told that twice, and finally found Livonia Dermatology, which I made a visit to, and people are asking me what's going on, what's wrong
Right.
on Facebook, and everything's good. I try to have the one removed on my eye. That's very noticeable, even more so now. Kind of hiding out. I'm like wearing a shield, but
We know already.
It's not that bad. It's not the pain. It wasn't painful or anything like that. I had a few people was it painful? But no, it wasn't that bad. It was just the fact that they're not gone. And you go to this place, I'm hoping that they'd just be gone.
Right.
But no, you actually got to wait for them to be falling off the next couple days.
Yes.
And it's and they look really gross. And they're all
That one
swollen.
it's protruding definitely out of your eyelid.
And
there.
as soon as I walk in the door, I seen your face, and I was like, "Oh, great! He already noticed the first thing."
Yeah.
It wasn't the wrestling shirts. It wasn't the wrestling
No.
shirts. It was what was protruding from my eye.
Yeah.
But it's kind of bigger, and it's kind of disgusting. But it is what it is. I'm hoping that it's gone.
Hopefully
It's kind of
that
been a little
long-term it'll be better
embarrassing
for you.
story, but it's something that everybody has, certain skin issues, psoriasis,
Yeah,
eczema, whatever.
I had eczema when I was growing up. I grew out of it, but yeah, I went to the dermatologist when I was younger, and it's no fun, man. It's when they're scraping on your skin,
But
lasering.
the funny part is I'm sitting there, and this older guy's there. I don't know what was going on with him, but he's trying to make conversation. He was bored.
Yeah.
He said he's been sitting there for an hour. So I come in, I'm talkative. So he's like, "Oh, what you here for? If it's not too personal." I'm like, "Oh, get skin tags, warts, whatever you want to call them."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, that one by your eye there."
Oh God.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "Yeah, it's a little noticeable." I'm like, "Well,
I almost want to wear
I'm like,
sunglasses
"Thanks
around the
a lot, you
office.
jerk." So
I can't imagine what
So
kind of
then he's
markings
like,
he has on his body.
I can imagine.
Yuck.
And then he's like, "Well, why don't you just take a knife to it and just."
A serrated knife, no
Just-
less, which would cause even more damage and pain.
He's like, "We do back in the olden days, just slice it off with a knife or a sword or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Infections, pain, more pain than usual. So that was very interesting. And then going in the actual room, and I don't know if this is actually what it's called, but the nitrogen oxide, peroxide, whatever you want to call that.
Yep.
But it was a big process, and I had like 3 people watching. I had like the doctor, the assistant, and like someone else in the room. Everybody's
Talk about
watching.
stressful. Very stress
It was
intense.
like watching.
Yes.
I was like, oh goodness gracious.
It's like I'm being a part of a freak show here.
I know. Like, dissect my.
Yeah, start throwing some
my
dollar
face.
bills at me, I guess. Jeez.
But that was that, and I'm hoping that everything heals because, like, I was self-conscious about it, and that was
Hopefully
why
by next week it'll look a lot more different.
So I'm hoping that it
Just fall right
falls
off.
She said,
Yeah.
3 to 4 days, it'll fall off.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll be getting a Snapchat. I'll be probably Saturday morning. I'll get a Snapchat. Oh my God, dude, check it out! It's gone.
Not quite, but hey, I'm hoping for that it does just kind of fall off in my sleep or something like
That'd
that.
be
But
nice. Well, onto the something a
I
little
don't
bit
want
more
no
normal.
scars.
No scars. You want to know I got them.
I got one on my
You
back
should.
from that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad on your eye there. Should
Hopefully
just be
not.
good. Anyway, so before we dive into sports here, before we dive into the big talk about our Tigers and hockey and whatnot, we want to talk about the biggest story that's been circulating around the news, which I'm sure everybody is sick and tired of hearing about. But it is the gorilla killing at the Cincinnati Zoo, the whole entire incident that occurred over this past weekend. And, you know, I saw it up north. I woke up and it was all over the news, and I was watching the footage and the video that was recorded. There's footage that you do see, and there's footage that you haven't probably seen.
There's all kinds of footage
And
in HD and all different kinds of angles.
I mean, thank God for whoever took the footage, because it would definitely give us a little bit more of a different perspective of the outcome. But basically what happened is this family at the Cincinnati Zoo was by the gorilla exhibit, and their little 3-year-old kid happened to wander off and fall 10 or 12 feet down into the gorilla's little cage where there's lots of water and there's currents going on, and
the moat,
I guess you could call it. And basically the gorilla in the footage, you can say, was protecting the kid, which I think is what was being happened. I mean, if you ever watched King Kong or Mighty Joe Young or Planet of the Apes, they're Hollywood movies. But if you saw what happened, though, it didn't look like that this kid was too threatened. Now,
I'll look back in '86. Now I did some homework on this, and I know you're basing yours off Mighty Joe Young and King Kong and all that, and whatever. But I looked at the footage from '86 where the gorilla saved the child, and there's also been other instances as well that's probably not even been documented. That's just blogged and written all over the media. But it's really the main objective here is I don't want to like bash anyone. I don't want to come across.
There's multiple parties at fault here.
A lot of people. There's a lot to be blamed here, and I've had some time to think about this. And it's everywhere. If you haven't seen this yet, you've been living under a rock, or
the mom's getting death threats, and you know the zoo is getting extreme backlash from the general media public, and really it's just it's a very touchy subject, because you have your people that fear, the parents out there, the strict parents that fear for a child's safety with any kind of wild animal. And then you got the animal activists, like, you know, that are out there basically saying that this was a wrongful killing, that the gorilla could have been easily sedated with a heavy sedative. And I said this before. If you can put down a 2-ton elephant in a matter of just a few seconds with a highly induced sedative and a tranquilizer gun, you could have done this to a 700-pound gorilla. You know, I mean, it's just the way it was handled. Obviously, I get it.
450-pound gorilla.
Or 450 pounds, whatever the gorilla weighed, but still weighs less than an elephant. They were worried about that. That's the big thing, is they're worried about that the gorilla was going to get aggressive. It was going to freak out. But I mean, there's too many what ifs, and
there is.
It is what it is. What's done is done.
You want to protect human life at all costs, and that is.
But then it raises the question: what is more important, a human life or an animal's life? And the fact that this animal worth a lot of money. It's endangered, almost extinct. You know, the silverback gorilla, 17 years old. And also, you had mentioned before the show, it was in its prime mating state.
And I did a lot of homework on this. I'm no gorilla expert and won't try to pretend to be, but I did a lot of in-depth looking about gorillas and species and their attack methods and breeding patterns and all this. And he was at his peak for adulthood. He was nearing that maturity where he could be bred with other females.
Yep.
And the silverback gorilla is near extinction. So this is a huge loss to the animal kingdom, to gorillas population all around the world.
And the main question is, it raises that question, should we even be able to have zoos? Should animals be kept in captivity that can't survive in the wild?
That is my biggest thing right there. Is as much as I like going and paying $14, $15, spending half a day at the Detroit Zoo, Toledo Zoo, whatever, it's a wonderful time. You get to see a lot of animals, but in reality, in the back of my mind, you look at these animals in the eye, and I'm no whisperer of any creature.
We're not no Jack Hanna or Jeff Corwin here.
You just absolutely you kind of feel for them.
It's a sad story.
Or you can go like what I've done to California, to Florida, and what's great is you can see these creatures. Yes, you're not going to see gorillas unless you went to Africa, but you can see whales, sharks, dolphins, alligators, crocodiles, all kinds of different species of creatures in the wild. If you went to Florida or California,
they have sanctuaries, and that's what I went to. When I was up north, I went to a deer sanctuary. Costs free of charge. It's donations, and these are, caged and closed deer that get a lot of attention every day. And granted, a deer sanctuary is different than or if you were to have a sanctuary for gorillas or elephants or giraffes, whatever. But I don't know, man. And granted, I can't put all the full blame on Cincinnati Zoo because they have worked hard. This is the first incident they've had in 27 years, I read. So it's not something that happens every day.
4-year-old managed to sneak his way
through multiple force fields to get through there. And that is where the parent is getting the backlash, because what I've read and what I've heard is that there were 2 or 3 different ways that the parent could have gotten alerted. There was buzzers or alarms that went off or something where this parent should have been near this child, like as far as how far this parent let the child get away. That's a huge point.
I have 2 solutions to this whole problem, and I'm going to throw them out there, and you can disagree with me all you want.
Did you hear this on the radio by any chance?
Nope. I heard one from the radio, one's from my own mind. One's from Mike Valenti. I'll give him credit.
Put a child on a leash.
Put a child on a leash if you're under 13.
Not around your neck.
Nope. Mine is this. All animal enclosures are required to have a certain
standby.
If you take one step over the rail, the whole enclosure, everything starts beeping.
Or you get shocked.
Alert. You don't get shocked.
Shocked.
You're alerted.
Shocked.
You can get shocked. Something that shocks you and your foot goes numb. You can't move. That would work.
That kid should have never found that way in so easily.
You take a step into the enclosure, or if you move over into that enclosure just slightly, alarms start going off immediately. Potentially the kid wouldn't be going down there.
A lot of different changes are about to go into effect, especially at this zoo and other zoos, I'm sure, for all these kind of exhibits.
You in Detroit Zoo right now? You know how many people would be watching you left and right? You'd be looking over your shoulder, especially around the gorillas.
Well, I think especially a dangerous exhibit like a gorilla exhibit should have a guard on hand the entire day, different shifts, having a tranquilizer gun in hand just in case something like that were to happen. Now, it's a very unlikely chance that would happen regularly, but the fact that you need to have, if you didn't have the right amount of sedatives to knock a gorilla out without killing it, then shame on the zoo for not being rightfully prepared for that.
They would have said it would have taken 5 to 10 minutes to knock him out.
And they're saying that they could have,
or however you say his name.
Harabi. And you're saying that could have probably made the gorilla go ape shit, so to speak, on the kid.
Nice.
And I've read that article that you, I think, had posted about the gorilla experts. We finally got to hear from a gorilla expert that has dealt with gorillas for 20 years, and she said that they're not human killers. They don't kill children. They don't act aggressively towards children. That it was, I think, just trying to protect it from the noise. Because the mom, oddly enough, and you brought this up before the show.
This is what irks me.
The mom was totally calm. Mommy's here. Don't worry, Mommy's here.
How are you so calm? How are you not?
My ass would be jumping in that damn cage in a minute.
As much as you would probably get, and that would actually send the gorilla off.
And it would. If you were to go in that cage, you would have definitely made the situation worse. But your parental instinct, and it's hard for us to say because we don't have children of our own. But in that case, I talked to a guy at work. His ass would have been sacrificing his own life to jump in that cage and defend his kid.
And you would have got destroyed by a 450-pound gorilla.
At least I died protecting my kid.
Who has the strength of 10 grown men.
Yep. But at least I would have been protecting my child. You know,
You'd have died, and you'd have been, and then
A hero,
everybody in your family would try to sue the zoo.
And that's exactly what they were affording. They were affording, the Cincinnati Zoo was going at all costs to afford any kind of lawsuit, to avoid any kind of lawsuits against them. If they were to have that child be killed, that's all they kept thinking. They would rather take out their own animal than to have a massive $1 million lawsuit against them for a wrongful death of their child.
Oh, there's a lot of, now I've been to several animal places, several different zoos, aquariums. I've been to probably the most scariest place you could be.
Yep.
And that's Gatorland. Now, Gatorland, and I've told numerous people about this,
Yep.
is basically there's a net there. If you lean too far, you're falling to your death of hundreds of alligators.
Oh, absolutely.
So you want to talk about unsafe? That is the ultimate right there. That is the enclosure where you fall down there, there ain't enough bullets to save you.
I know.
So imagine going in potentially a death match with 100 alligators. Or you're in there with a gorilla who may or may not kill you.
Right.
What, he was in there 10 minutes with him before
Something
they did
like
anything?
that. Yeah. Yep.
He started dragging him around. That was, I get that.
That's
hard to watch.
That's gorillas. Yeah, it was. It made me cringe to see him drag around that kid like a rag doll, which a lot of people have been saying, you know, the gorilla was being overly aggressive. But a gorilla is not exactly 100% like a human. It's not going to grab you by the hand and walk you across its moat to safety. I mean, it was, I think, trying to scurry. It was trying to get the kid as far away from those people that were screaming. He basically said that the kid was in danger. He sensed that the kid was in danger, and he just happened to take him kind of, you know, aggressively across the moat. And, you know, that was a little cause for concern because the kid probably got, you know, some bumps and bruises from that. But
That's probably, the kid wasn't seriously hurt.
no, he was.
I think the kid's already
he got
been
a
released.
he got a minor concussion and some scrapes. That's all he got.
And he's probably going to have a lifetime of probably gorilla trauma. But the kid's already said he wants to go return to that zoo.
Yeah.
And
No, the kid never screamed or cried. The kid wanted to swim with the gorilla. That's what he said he wanted to do.
And he got up close and personal. And
Yeah, he did.
there you have it.
I want to get, we got Justin that's been on the line waiting patiently, and I know we haven't talked about this yet, Justin, but I kind of want to get your take on this story. Have you been paying much attention to this?
I've seen a lot of it.
Who hasn't?
What's your thoughts? Like, are you in favor of the zoo killing the gorilla, or do you feel like it was handled, wrongfully?
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
That's a hard call. I mean, your first instinct is you got to protect the kid. And if you think the gorilla's gonna, kill this kid or really severely hurt this kid, you've got to take action and go. And that's what they did. But that's just hard.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to kill an animal.
No, of course not. I mean, I'm a huge animal supporter, but who makes that call when an animal life is more important than a human life or vice versa? I mean, there's
During
some
that
people
10
out
minutes
there,
is when they're deciding.
Yeah, they had to have been decided. I mean, they let it go on for quite a while before they decided to finally pull the trigger, obviously. And it was a tough call for the zoo to make, but I think that at the end of it, and now they're starting to backtrack because they probably weren't expecting it to blow up like this so negatively. More people have been calling out the mom. The mom's been getting death threats from the general public. The one thing that I am respectful about, and I gotta earn a little bit more respect for the family of the kid, is that there's people out there that have been trying to donate money to this family because the kid's probably going to be traumatized or whatever kind of doctor bills or whatever the case may be. And the family has come out and said that they will not be accepting any free donations from the public. They want any kind of money to be donated to the Cincinnati Zoo in the memory of Harambe. And I applaud the family on that. Usually people that, that get involved in stories like this, they like the national attention. Lawsuit.
That's the way this society is. Any little thing happens to you.
And they're not putting the blame squarely on the zoo. And accidents, shit happens, whatever you want to call it, but it's still a very careless move by the mom. And she can say that she.
I want to know how the kid got in there. Why was your kid away from you?
Well, and that's what brings up the question.
4-year-old kid, why is it getting away from you?
And that brings up the question: is that the kid had to go through? I read he had to go through 3 force fields to get into this cage. I mean, they showed it. They showed a map of it on TV about how. I mean, he had to go through some work to get into this cage.
And if the kid would have been, obviously he's 40 pounds, 4 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously, say you or I were to try this, we'd get stuck.
No.
We wouldn't make it halfway
We would literally have
in
to
there.
jump over the fence.
There's no way.
And we'd be falling about 20 feet. The kid fell, and even for a kid that's 50, 60 pounds at 4 years old, a 12-foot drop is a long way down.
I'm
How
shocked.
the kid didn't break his legs
I'm
or
shocked
even sprain
about
his
that.
ankle is crazy. Kid must have been made of steel.
Yeah, I don't know.
But this will be a story that definitely is going to linger in the media probably for another week or so.
Longer than that. Just wait until. The biggest problem that I have with this is the mother didn't seem as frantic as what she should have been.
It was almost like she
Mommy's
left
right here.
It's almost like, I mean, you're going to have parents that are out there, like the child protective parents, saying that she was trying to maybe abandon him, which is going a little bit extreme, obviously, but you never know. I mean, how long did she step away from this
kid?
kid?
Guess what her profession is?
What is she?
She runs a daycare.
Oh, wow, nice. She probably already has enough kids to
Daddy
tend
has
to.
a criminal felony record.
Nice.
But he is, to his credit, he's cleaning up his act, turning his life around. So, no discreditment on that. But he is turning his life around, but he does have a record. But I'm not going to hold that against anyone.
Right.
I'm not going to try to go into that. But she runs a daycare. So, no more trips to the zoo.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back anytime soon.
And if you do, you're not going back that one. You're not going back to Cincinnati Zoo.
So now you have the aftermath. You know, you let this sink in for a couple more weeks. Let obviously this is going to probably hurt the Cincinnati Zoo's attendance unless it brings them more people in.
They got 6,000 followers in like a day on Twitter, so that maybe even more than that.
But I mean, are you going to start seeing some like
they have
outside?
money to be made off this? Want to know
Yeah.
why? Because they can put a statue of the beautiful silverback gorilla
People
that was
can
killed.
donate to them.
You can donate. You can go there, and there'll be a whole section: T-shirts, hats,
in
hoodies,
memory of Harambe.
stuffed animals of Harambe. Yeah, it's a money grab. Yeah. Yes, it's a very painful money grab. And as much as they lost for this gorilla, I hope that they can make it back on merchandise sales and shirts and hoodies and pants and whatever else stuffed animals that they're going to sell. I hope that they can somehow try to turn this very, very negative into a positive and make some sort of money off of it. I don't think you can. I couldn't tell you how much a silverback gorilla is worth, but those things are near extinction. So if I'm the Cincinnati Zoo, I'm the marketing guy, I'm putting out shirts,
Market
the
off
whole
of
shindig.
Yep.
You got to try to turn a very negative into some sort of positive.
yeah.
That's the whole American way.
Well,
So go for it.
now, oddly enough, the same story. There was a same story, different outcome in this whole little incident. Now, back in August of '96, very, very similar story happened at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. A 3-year-old boy slipped away from his mom, fell 18 feet into a gorilla enclosure. An 8-year-old gorilla named Binti Jua picked up the unconscious child with her own baby on her back and carried him to safety. So the unidentified boy suffered a broken hand and cuts to the face. He spent 4 days in the hospital but managed to fully recover. They did not kill the gorilla back then. The female gorilla saved the boy, rescuing him. So that kind of brings to question, like, could the exact same situation have been happening here in the present day? We'll never know.
You won't know.
Nope.
And it's like, as I've heard so many times, human life, you have to protect it at all costs. So, unfortunately, the wild animal has to be destroyed.
And oddly enough, this gorilla, who still lives at the Brookfield Zoo, was raised by humans and was people-oriented. So a little bit different. It sounds like Harambe was maybe more raised in captivity than being, people-oriented. She wasn't, or he wasn't raised around humans like this female gorilla was. But still, that was the beginning of our generation. Like, if you go back, like, all the way back in those periods of time, I mean, that was kind of like how we were brought up. Gorillas are the closest animal to a human than you can have.
Evolution.
So, yeah, this is evolution. I mean, my God.
Yeah, there you go.
They act human. They look closest to a human being as possible, and so you got to think that they still have those human traits in their mindset.
I'm not gonna. I did take biology and all that, and I got a 4.0 in that and all that, but I'm not going to touch that. I'm gonna just take that and evolution is there. You can agree to disagree, and that's that. I'm not going to touch on evolution because there's a whole can of worms that you don't want to open up with the whole.
Yep.
Is a gorilla linked with a human? Is that maybe potentially I don't want to open up that can of worms. And don't worry, though. I'm sure you'll hear about that shortly on the media. CNN, MSNBC, one of those will bring that into the muchly heated debate that is already going on. I just want this whole bad situation to somehow turn into a positive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think eventually it will after, like I said, after we get some time to kind of unwind and just kind of let the media start to fade away. I mean, it's going to happen. The media is eventually going to just stop and kind of forget talking about this story until something else pops up. But give it a month. Give it a month.
Something did pop up that's pretty interesting.
The gator,
am fascinated
the
with.
monster dino gator.
I'm absolutely fascinated with this, and I want to touch on this before we turn into
Yep.
your regular scheduled program. That this dinosaur of an alligator walking across the Florida golf course.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
It's already it's already being panned after Jurassic Park.
And here's my problem with this.
Okay.
Now, this gator is, as much as it's huge, and now all kinds of experts and gator experts and people like you and I, these crazy people in Florida, guess what they're going to be doing? Looking for it.
Mm-hmm. Hunting it.
Some people probably want to kill it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you kill it,
trophy case.
you should be in prison.
Yeah, I'm
you
sure.
You don't need to kill these things.
No.
Leave them alone.
It's because it's an odd creature. It's an oddly huge creature.
And it's huge.
Yep.
So, of course,
all your redneck hunters are going to be wanting to go after this thing.
Of course.
Put the head on a freaking trophy, man.
Of course. And I hope it eats you.
Mm-hmm. I hope so, too.
Because why can't you just leave it alone? Yes,
just
cool.
ooh and ah. Just ooh and ah at it and take pictures, videos, whatever.
Those golfers had the right idea. It wasn't harming them.
No.
He was just walking across the golf course.
They'll make probably some money off of that video.
Hell, absolutely. It's been viewed
millions
thousands of times.
Millions.
And it's great to see these animals, these dinosaurs, because they were around when the dinosaurs were around.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it was massive. So just
think,
there's tons of them. Now, if you're an alligator fan like myself, you can go to Florida and you can see him. I bet you there's ones just like him.
I know you want. And
I've been itching to go back to
Florida Gators are going to want to try to make a plea to get to be their mascot. Somebody trap it and bring it to our games.
I've been itching to go back to Gatorland.
Yeah, I bet it'd be a fun time.
It's a wonderful.
Never got to when I went to Florida as a kid. I never went to Gatorland. Missed out on that opportunity.
It's a great time.
Nice.
Anybody that goes to Florida, if you're in the Kissimmee area, definitely got to check out Medieval Times.
Oh yeah, I did
Great
that.
Place to go to.
I did Medieval
and check
Times.
out Gatorland.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal time to take the whole family. Just please, for the love of mankind, at Gatorland, keep an eye on your child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't want no child hopping the barrier getting into the gator pits. Don't need that now. Don't need no more lawsuits on our hands there. Just what this media needs to grab a hold of. That'd be just the perfect story for them to get their hands on, right? As if they don't have enough to talk about. So, all right. So aside from all the animal activity, the gators, the gorillas, let's talk about sports. That's why we're here. The Stanley Cup Finals finally underway, and I was wrong because I thought it was going to be Tampa Bay versus St. Louis. My teams are out. It's San Jose versus the Penguins. I know. Well, it's best for business. It's best for business to have the Pittsburgh Penguins in this series for ratings because Tampa Bay and St. Louis. Yeah, it wouldn't have done much. But in a game filled with a lot of momentum swings, I did see some of Game 1. Nick Bonino scored the game-winning goal. Pittsburgh had full control in that game. It was 2-0 at one point, and San Jose clawed back, with some good goaltending, and they finally were able to kind of contain them until the end. Your thoughts on the first game of this series?
Well, I was doing in the box live 8 o'clock when the game tipped off, dropped the puck, whatever you want to call it, and there was a lot of discussion before, and I know a lot of people are against me on this one.
Right.
And I don't know who you're taking on the series. We'll get to that in a minute. But I took Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh's going to win this series. And why will Pittsburgh win this series? Is because Pittsburgh has
been there before.
Deeper teams. Been there before.
They got the
Pittsburgh
experience.
has 3 strong lines they can throw out there. Now, you want to keep them away. You want to keep Crosby away from Burns as much as possible. You want to put Kessel against Burns. Kessel's a slower skater, but I think that the fact that if you keep Crosby away from Burns as much as possible, that is definitely your best chance for success about beating Martin Jones, potentially.
But at the same token, the guys that you got to contain on San Jose are guys like, of course, the Red Hot Pavelski, Hurdle, Marlowe, and of course Logan Couture. Mm-hmm. They were contained in this game. Obviously, Hurdle and Marlowe, they scored.
Crystal Tang
did
a phenomenal job.
Yep, he did.
And that's the thing is, if you're the San Jose Sharks, you want to make sure that you put your top guns, your top two lines when Crystal Tang's sitting on the bench, because Crystal Tang's going to play 25 plus in these Stanley Cup Finals if he can go that far.
And going back to the experience side of things, the Penguins took advantage of a very slow start by the Sharks. The Sharks did not come out of the gate like Pittsburgh did. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh fired on all cylinders. Being at home, they're great at home. That's something that San Jose's not been good at in the playoffs. And all throughout the season, they've been really, really wishy-washy at home. And they have to win. Game 2 is tonight, right?
Yep.
So they have to,
8 o'clock.
Yeah, they have to come out and they have to win this game. If they do not win Game 2, if you don't go back to San Jose tied 1-1, the series is pretty much going to be a wash for them because it doesn't look too favorable for them at home.
No, I don't think if you lose tonight in Pittsburgh, it's necessarily over.
Not necessarily over, but it's not looking good.
I believe that this is not a must-win game tonight in Pittsburgh for the Sharks, but you definitely do not want to be going back home to the Shark Tank down 2-0 to a very good team. Yes, home ice advantage is amazing, and it's a great thing, and you can really match your opponent's lines with the lines that you want to try to capitalize on most. Pittsburgh, I think, has the depth advantage on offense over the Sharks, but the Sharks have very good defensive depth where Pittsburgh does not. Pittsburgh still has very good D, average D, with Crystal Tang leading that, but Brent Burns has outscored Crystal Tang 10-1. Mm-hmm. So Brent Burns has got 5 or 6 goals leading this team on the defensive aspect. But he can't be that guy that you rely on to get all your goals. Brent Burns is a very good player. You can't rely on Brent Burns in every single situation to help you out. Now, Couture has to be good. Joe Pavelski
and Marlowe
and Joe Thornton, to win his Stanley Cup, he's going to have to be the best player on the ice every single game to beat Pittsburgh. Because as good as San Jose is, Pittsburgh had such a difficult time getting here and facing the best of the best. Now, no discredit to what Nashville did or any of those other teams that the Sharks played to advance to this point in the playoffs. But you beat Washington, Tampa.
Mm-hmm. You've gone through the ringer.
You've gone through the top
best
team.
Yep.
So there's no easy ride.
No.
Nashville's not a cakewalk.
And some can say that the Sharks could be the easiest team that you've faced in the playoffs, but obviously there's a reason why they've gotten here. The West, they didn't have to beat some of the best teams, obviously in the playoffs, but they still have had a long road ahead of them. So I mean, really, the work has been done for both teams to pave the way in the culmination of the Stanley Cup Finals. So, a lot of work still has to be done for this Sharks team, in my opinion. Obviously the giveaways, the slow start has to improve. You have to come out of the gate here in Game 2. You got to show them that you want to be here. And the goaltending, obviously Martin Jones, we've seen throughout the playoffs, it's been very, very iffy in goal. I mean, he's been pulled, I think, a couple times, hasn't he?
He's had one game
that St. Louis series,
just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He let up a goal that should have been stopped, that you would think that would have been stopped in junior. That Martin Jones is a guy who is the veteran, and he's only been in the league a very short time. And that is a very interesting situation that is brewing in the Stanley Cup Finals. Is you have 2 young goaltenders, Martin Jones and Matt Murray. Matt Murray's he's got to be on cloud 9 right now, saying, "Wow, this is what it feels like."
There's going to be history made. I mean, when was the last time a rookie goalie won the Stanley Cup? It's going to happen between one of these guys.
Martin Jones is not a rookie.
Well, not rookie, but he's young.
Martin Jones has been to the dance as a backup to Jonathan Quick with the Los Angeles Kings.
Right.
He's been there, and he watched Jonathan Quick stand on his head.
He learned from some of the best.
He learned from Jonathan Quick. When Jonathan Quick was sensational, unbeatable, and led the Kings to the Cup, Martin Jones watched all that firsthand. Had a front row seat. Now Jones has the opportunity to put the Sharks on his back like Quick did years ago. Can he do that? It's to be seen.
Now, a name that's going to be returning for Game 2 that might be a good omen for the Sharks is forward Matt Nito. He's missed the last 8 games with an upper body injury. Now, granted, he's not made a huge impact. He didn't make a huge impact in the Nashville series, but could this be somewhat of a positive for the Sharks to look forward to in Game 2?
Anytime you get a guy back from injury,
Gives you a little extra boost.
it gives you that little extra flash, that flair. Now, I don't know if he's going to be playing the second or third line. I don't know what the line combinations are, what they announced, but I know the game's getting ready to drop the puck now. But with the Stanley Cup Finals, they say a game starts at 8. Really, it starts at like 8:30.
They're probably going to yank Zubris, I think, out of the lineup to make room for him. Zubris, I don't think, has made really much. He's played 10 games this postseason. He's got a goal and a couple points, but I think putting him into the game, you definitely have a size force against you, and you have some speed. So I think that's going to maybe even things out on the speed differentials for, between the Sharks and the Penguins. So
both these squads, respectively, are extremely quick and extremely. Now, how you win this series is you get to the opposing guy's goaltender. They're both two young guys. They haven't officially been to the dance before. Yes, I know I mentioned Martin Jones was the backup for Quick years ago in their deep run, but this is a battle between two goaltenders who have never been here. This is all uncharted territory. It's going to be a good series. Mm-hmm. But the defining factor is the Penguins' 3 lines. The HBK line, Malkin's line, Crosby's line is just going to be too much for the Sharks' defensive prowess to handle. It's going to be a good series, and I think it's going to go 7 games with the Penguins coming up on top. Tonight's a big game. It should go back to the Shark Tank 1-1.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things this is the key in any series, no matter who we are, if it's the Sharks or the Penguins, but you got to control the pace. Mm-hmm. The pace is important because that should be probably the number one key of every game. Now, because the Penguins have so many offensive weapons that can burn opponents with their speed. We talked about speed. The Sharks, they face some fast teams in the Western Conference, but they saw in the first game that the Penguins can push it to another level if you feed their counterattack game with turnovers.
The Sharks have definitely, to the Sharks' credit, the Sharks have beaten the 3 top defensive teams in the NHL this year. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. They've done
their job.
They have.
They deserve to be here. They
absolutely do.
They do.
Absolutely do.
Now, to prevent the turnovers, the Sharks, they got to clean up their defensive zone exits. They got to manage the puck better, obviously in the neutral zone. Now, if they can do that and they can establish their puck possession, in the attack zone as they did it in game 1 in the second period. They came on a little bit too late, but at the same time, they kept the pace more in their favor the second half of the game, which if they can start out quick, they should be able to contain the speedy offense of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then, as I mentioned, Martin Jones has to kind of stand on his head. He has to protect his team. So whenever you can get out of your D zone as quickly as possible and play the O zone, that's the best defense, I think. And that's what's going to propel the Sharks to a win in Game 2. So
far,
I'm going to
Jones
say,
is solid.
Yeah, he has.
First period's already kicked off. Jones
Okay.
is 7 for 7 saves. Mm-hmm. So he's not letting anything up yet.
If Matt Murray doesn't let up too much junk, if you can get pucks to the net against Matt Murray and beat this defense, I think that you're going to have a shot as well. But speed, turnovers, and controlling the pace are going to be my 3 keys for the Sharks. If they can do that, they're going to win Game 2. We're going to go back to the Shark Tank, tie it at 1 game apiece. But now you've already said that you got the Pittsburgh Penguins win the series in 7. I unfortunately have the Penguins winning in 6. I think that.
Wow, you're on my side.
I am. As much
now,
as I want.
Now, a lot of people
trust me, I'm biting my tongue on this one because I do not want the Penguins to win. If the Penguins don't win in 6, I'm going to say they'll win in 7. I'm not saying Sharks are going to win this Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, I feel like as bad as a taste it's going to leave in my mouth, I feel like
Crosby gets that next one.
Crosby is he's turning up the heat at the right time. Malkin, Kessel, the goaltending of Matt Murray is going to just continue to shine, I think, for this team. They can afford to lose Game 2. They're probably going to win Game 3, maybe lose Game 4, but I think eventually they're going to win 2 straight back-to-back, and it's going to be Game 5 and Game 6 for the Penguins. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we're both wrong. It'd be nice to see the Sharks win.
Like I've said earlier, and I've made it well documented that I do want the Sharks to win this. I do want Joe Thornton to win that Stanley Cup because Joe Thornton has had a phenomenal career.
And Patrick Marleau.
As well. The Sharks' time, their opportunity is now. Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton, you don't win it this year. That's
Retirement's it's
you might
looming.
just
They're in their
close-
late 30s.
You just
man.
slam that door and you lock it shut because you're not getting back to this point. It's just, unfortunately, the Sharks' window of opportunity is now.
Now, Justin, what do you think as far as this series? Who do you got going to win the Stanley Cup?
I hope the Sharks.
I think everybody wants the underdogs. I mean, really, coming from Detroit fans.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was going to say, coming from a Detroit fan, you definitely are rooting for Pittsburgh in this series. They got a great team, don't get me wrong, on paper, and they've been able to contain the Sharks early, but really on paper, it could go 7. It's a very evenly matched. Both of these teams have veteran talent that have been on this team for 10 plus years. They're the face of this team. When you look at Crosby and Malkin, and then you look at guys like Thornton, Pavelski, Marlowe, they've been there for a long, long time. And it's hard to believe that, this is a Sharks team that this is their first Stanley Cup final, potentially first Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. How can you not get behind a team like that? So
we're all behind them here. I think everybody in the United States, besides Pittsburgh, is
it ain't your rating, obviously it's not, your Pittsburgh and Chicago series or, that people are, wanted to see, whether
it's not going to be,
no,
everybody's favorite, golden
That's what makes the NHL playoffs great,
It's definitely worth watching. And I know a lot of people, the NHL is going to hype up, Joe Thornton versus Sidney Crosby. Mm-hmm. Win it for Joe Thornton. Sidney Crosby submits his legacy for another cup, making him the best player of the NHL. Blah, 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 blah. You're going to hear it all. Mm-hmm. Pierre Maguire will be right up into Sidney Crosby's face after Game 7. Sidney, how do you feel after you just won the Stanley Cup again? That's what I'm dreading most.
Yep. It's going to be something like that. And you know what? I hope not to see it. In that case, obviously, I'd be turning off that cup celebration. But it's definitely in me to root for the Sharks. I mean, the Sharks they dealt the Red Wings some bad hands for those couple of years they beat us in the semifinals. Yeah. Well, the 90s and then back in I think 2010, 2011 when they beat us 2 straight years. I mean, they're a team that's always been like on the in and out. They're a second round and bounce team, and they finally got over that hump, and now they've just got one more obstacle in their way.
They're the clutch team.
So go Sharks.
Not so much clutch.
Go Sharks, but
choke artist team.
Yeah, go Sharks, but I think that we're both kind of leaning towards Pittsburgh taking it all here. Mm-hmm. So now on to our Detroit Tigers, which oddly enough, Danny, you are going to probably tell me either shut up or no way. But the Tigers are actually up 2-0 in the 6th inning, bottom of the 6th.
Matt Shoemaker's pitching for the Angels.
But we also have Fulmer pitching for the Tigers.
And for all you guys that don't know, Matt Shoemaker is an Eastern Michigan alum.
But Danny, let me finish. Fulmer has pitched 5 innings. He has struck out 4. He's walked 1. He has not let up a hit in this game. He has a no-hitter going.
Shut up, Derek.
I know.
You just jinxed it now.
I know. I don't believe in that crap, but he is dialed in,
boy.
As Justin said. But the 2 RBIs tonight by Kinsler and Saltalamacchia. But yeah, 10 hits for the Tigers already in the 6th inning. 0 for the Angels. Wouldn't that be a story?
Mike Trout been striking out? I know Mike Trout's DH and Albert Pujols is in the lineup tonight. I don't believe
he struck out.
So.
I mean, he's going through a meaty lineup here. Michael Fulmer is definitely going through. I mean, this is a team that's not been very good on the stat sheets.
Easy.
But this
is killer.
I'm just saying though, this team
easy with that lineup thing. The Angels, to their credit, for the month of May, now that we've turned the calendar over, they've averaged 5 runs a game. They've been a very good offensive team.
Yes.
But it's June.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time.
Uh-oh.
Justin's got the live feed.
What happened,
here.
Justin?
Another strikeout.
So what is that, 5 or 6? I think that's his. I think that's number 5.
But Fulmer, to Fulmer's credit, he can dominate good lineups.
He's had some
average lineups.
Very decent outings, man. I mean, he is coming into his own. He is. He's kind of reminding me a little bit of Justin Verlander's rookie season from 06.
I thought you were about to say Joel Zamayo.
No. Starting pitching. That year that Justin Verlander
because of his looks, he resembles a little bit like Zamayo.
Not even the look of that. It's just that he's just, in his start so far, I keep thinking back to that 06 season when Justin Verlander went 17-9, kind of surprised a lot of people. And I'm not saying that Fulmer's going to win 17 games, but I mean, this is a guy that could probably win 12, 13 games if he stays healthy and they don't start figuring out some of his pitches and he can go deep.
And this is, I'm hoping that you're right, but I'm very
skeptical.
Very skeptical. Yes, because he's very young and he hasn't made his way. The scouting report has not got to him yet.
Nope.
Now, he might win 5, 6, 7 games before the All-Star break.
And maybe make the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Because he's unknown, probably not.
No, he's not. There's way too many good pitchers in the American League. But to Fulmer's credit, I'm not going to discredit what he's doing right now. But the scouting report isn't quite there yet on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such a small sample size. He
Right.
hasn't really gotten that yet. The book's not out on him yet, but it will be.
Right.
And now when you see him give up 4 or 5 runs in a start, it's going to happen eventually. I hate to be that negative Nancy.
It happens to the best of them.
But it's going to happen. Where you see if he turns the corner, if he is Justin Verlander-esque type player, the adjustments to major league hitters will need to be made. Mm-hmm. And they will need to be made in his next start. Or you'll see him give up 4, 5, 6 runs in the next 3 or 4 starts after that first clunker start. So after the All-Star break, if he continues to pitch well, and also here's another thing you got to think about, is a lot of people are going to hate this, but I'm going to throw this out there because it's going to happen. He gets around 160 innings, 170 innings, he's done. Mm-hmm. Matt Harvey. Remember Matt Harvey? Remember that guy?
Yeah, I sure do.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
They figure him
to
out.
Michael Fulmer. Nope. They shut him down like Steven Strasburg, like Matt Harvey. You reach a certain amount of innings, guys throwing rockets out there because he's got a rocket arm. Mm-hmm. You're going to shut him down, especially if the Tigers are not in contention. But if the Tigers are in contention, and if they're a couple games out of it, you cannot shut him down.
No, you got to keep it. You got to ride him. You got to ride him into the ground. I mean, if he's keeping you in games, and if you're still in the playoff hunt, which oddly enough, the Central's been very lackluster. They're only a few games out of first place. I think they are only 5 or 6 games right now because I know KC I think has been struggling. Chicago's
really dropped the ball.
Yeah,
and they faced Matt Harvey, Noah Syndergaard, and Jacob deGrom today. Mm-hmm. So that's a tough test.
You just did a 1, 2, 3.
So is that 7 innings or that's 6 innings down, no hits? Nice. Yeah, the Tigers, oddly enough, they're 5 games out of the spot, and the Royals have actually overtaken the White Sox lately. The White Sox have dropped they've dropped 7 of 10 games. They're down to 29-25. Remember that 27 and 15 start that they start off on? Look at what they're down to now. They're absolutely atrocious at home.
Obviously, the emergence of Matt Latos early on, going 4-5-0, was just basically that. It was we got one going here, and obviously that's not going to continue. That's not going to last.
The only team that's really been able to continue their hot streak are the Cubs. The Cubs and the Giants are amongst the best in baseball. You got the Nationals that are kind of right there, but nobody's really running away yet with their division. The Cubs got a 6.5 game lead on the Pirates, but in the American League, everything is up for grabs. Mm-hmm. Really everything. The Red Sox, they're doing pretty well. They've won 7 of their last 10. They got a 3-game lead on the Orioles. The Royals, I think, are one of the hottest teams in baseball, right next to Texas. Texas has won 8 of 10.
Texas got Yu Darvish back.
Mm-hmm.
That bolsters their rotation.
That's also an AL West that's very, very wide open. Mm-hmm. The Mariners, God, who would have thought the Mariners
here's what fires Texas up. That whole instance with the Blue Jays with Odor and Batista, that circumstances really fired up that Texas team. And Yu Darvish coming back from the disabled list from, I believe it was Tommy John. He was out for a whole season. Now he's back, and he looked pretty good in his last start.
You talk about guys coming up from the DL. What's going to hurt the Mariners? King Felix just went down with a calf strain. 15-day DL for him. So that's going to be tough, man. Mm-hmm. They were just starting to peak, and now they're facing now a very depleted San Diego Padres team who's like 20-33. That series should be, they should be able to take 2 or 3. They actually won 16-4 last night. Mm-hmm. So, they got them tonight and they got them tomorrow. So that should be a 2 out of 3 pretty easily for the Mariners. I'm happy for the Mariners.
It is a very good story. And the Mariners, Robinson Cano's having a decent year. Yeah. Cruz always has. I
believe Robbie Cano is my pick for the AL MVP. Did I not say that?
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
A decent year.
How about our fantasy baseball? Who just took over second place and who's down to what? You're 5th, I think, 4th or 5th.
I've been playing the top seeds. You've been feeding off the bottom feeders of our league.
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm kind of sticking in there. I actually made some moves today. I'm not because I noticed I was doing good in it. I didn't want to just sit back and say, I'm going to be like Steve or Chris and not even touch my lineup. I want to at least touch my lineup because then I want to hear from you at the end of the season if I were to win or beat you. Well, you just rode your team, whatever team you had, beginner's luck, whatever. But no, I made like 3 or 4 pickups yesterday. So
it's a marathon, not a sprint, Derek.
I know. We'll see what happens, but I'm happy with the start. I thought
It's
for sure
funny
it'd be
is what's funny to me for fantasy, and I set this up, so I can only blame myself. Is that I have the best 2 hitters in baseball on paper, statistic wise,
and it's not happening.
I have Ben Zobrist and Murphy.
But you're pitching.
My pitching is not very good. No, I
had to bench. Greinke. I had to pick up somebody else. Greinke was just not. He's been kind of like, eh.
You benched him or you dropped him?
No, I benched him. I'm not dropping Greinke. Are you kidding?
Someone dropped Ryan Braun in our league, and I would love to know who had Ryan Braun and dropped him.
Probably. Well, I know Steve ain't going on there, and I don't think Chris has done anything to his lineup.
And I seen that Ryan Braun was available.
Did you pick him up?
Absolutely. Who would not pick up Ryan Braun? Yes, I know he plays for Milwaukee.
He helped me get. He was on my fantasy team a couple years ago.
I'm waiting for Ryan Braun's name to come up around July 31st for the trade deadline.
Well, you got to remember he ain't PED no more. He's not on the roids.
He's still putting up.
But he's also a hot name on the trade market. He's the guy that could be traded come July. So,
exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Repite, por favor.
We'll see what happens. He's hitting 351, 9 home runs, 30 dingers or 30 RBIs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Who dropped him in the fantasy league?
I'll have to look back at that because I had to have said what team it was.
I'm on my
Probably
phone.
Corey Kreiner or something.
Corey's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he is. Poppy, nobody seems to. I think I'm 5 games behind Poppy.
Yeah, he's got 2 teams, and one of his teams is terrible, and the other team is just sensational. It's funny how that works out.
So aside from fantasy, some of the bigger news that happened today out of the Detroit Tigers is that Anibal Sanchez, after that another horrible start, Anibal has now been yanked out of the rotation and has been sent down to the bullpen, which is they're going to try to work on some of his mechanics. But this isn't making us any better or not any worse for my opinion. But for the time being, they're going to have Matt Boyd take his spot in the lineup and in the rotation. I'm sorry. And for the time being, I guess Sanchez is saying he's not a quitter. He vows to get back into the starting rotation.
Yay!
I don't know, man. I don't know what has happened to Anibal. It started with last year.
Here you have it. I'll break it down for it because I watched. I did DVR. Yes, I'm that guy that DVR starts.
I don't do that.
I DVR Justin Verlander starts and I DVR Fulmer's and Sanchez's. Pelfrey, I can't stand to watch.
But he's on the upswing.
Easy.
I'm not excited about it, but he's been looking good his past couple starts. I will say that.
I'm taking that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, give credit where it's due.
Look at the opponents he's been facing.
I know, but win's a win.
Taking that with a grain of salt. But
Yep.
I'm okay. I'll give you that. But the gong over here that's not there. But with DVR and the starts, I was watching Sanchez's start last night, and what I noticed is that he doesn't seem like he has conviction when he's throwing the ball. He doesn't seem like he's just throwing it up there, and it looks like it's. And I think
how's his velocity?
Down. That is what I was going to
say.
His velocity is way down. He used to throw 93, 94. Now he's 90.
Around
89,
90.
And he's not nothing's working. He's got 5 different pitches, and it seems like he's not throwing the ball. He has no control. The velocity's down. His confidence.
Nothing.
And that's everything for a starting pitcher. Your confidence, he has nothing.
And this doesn't make it any better. He's going to be disappointed, and I think Brad Ausmus said it best, is that he understands the position he's in. This is a total team move here. It's to better the team. It's nothing personal against Anibal, but, it has to happen. It has to happen. We've given this guy way too many opportunities.
Now look what happened to a certain someone who struck out 20 against the Detroit Tigers earlier this season. And Tigers sent... I know the contract's not the same, but throwing out the whole contract thing out the window, I know a lot of people tell me that's stupid and you can't send a guy down that makes as much as Sanchez does, or Verlander does for that matter. But you send him down to Toledo and you say, hey, Lloyd McClendon and your staff, see if you can fix Sanchez.
It's happened before.
It's happened with Max Scherzer, and he came back and he was
better than ever.
Better than ever. Found his mechanics. Velocity was increased. All his pitches were a lot more crisp, a lot more controllable.
I think doing that when you send a guy down, a pitcher in particular, it's that you have more time to dedicate to that pitcher because he's worth a lot of money. He's a big point in your team in success. And with Scherzer, the pressure was off. When you're playing Toledo, you can go out there and get bombarded in your first start because you're not used to, whoever teams you're playing. But at least during that time
Yes,
span,
I know it is AAA hitters.
It is. But there's nothing more than having, all the dedication of all the pitching coaches and everybody paying attention to you to try to work on your mechanics. It's almost like going out in your backyard and just playing catch with your dad. Your dad can teach you all these different pitches, and he can actually give you the time and place to make you a better pitcher. And that's, I think, what happened to Max Scherzer a few years ago when he got sent down. I mean, he's
mechanics, velocity,
control.
Everything for Sanchez is off right now. There's nothing he is doing right where you can look at this, and he needs to completely revamp himself. He is now getting to the point in his career where he might not have the electric stuff that he's had in years past when he was the AL ERA champ. Yes, that was years past. Does he have that kind of stuff anymore? It doesn't appear that way. I'm not willing to give up on him.
He's not too old yet. He's not too old, in my opinion.
I don't want to give up on Sanchez, but I'm not all for him going to the bullpen because what's going to happen is you're going to put him in the bullpen, and you're not going to see him for maybe 3 or 4 more days, probably in the series against the White Sox.
Right.
And he's going to come into the game, and if he comes into the game in the White Sox series, because all those games are going to be close. Now, Brad Ausmus has already said that he wants to get Sanchez in the game in a low leverage situation. You want to bring him in when you're getting shelled or when you're shelling the opposing team.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen the next couple of days.
Nope.
That's not going to happen against the White Sox. The Yankees tomorrow, that's too soon. You can't put him in the game tomorrow. So potentially, Sanchez is going to have some time to go down there and kind of just think about what he's doing. The confidence is not going to be built. He might throw a bullpen session. He might throw on the side, whatever. He needs to be worked on. That is why you send him to AAA. He gets, obviously, a guy like Anibal Sanchez who makes millions and millions of dollars.
Making $16.5 million.
Goes to AAA, can get worked on. And I am basing my facts and my knowledge off what happened with Max Scherzer. But why not? Why not send him down?
Because Max Scherzer wasn't making the kind of money Sanchez is making. It's all about money. It's business.
I could care less.
I know, but they don't see
You
that.
want to see Anibal Sanchez had the best opportunities for success
to return
this
back
season,
to his old ways.
You send him to AAA. That's just my own opinion. It is what it is. No, you're going to throw him in the bullpen, and what is he going to throw 93, 94 again because he's only going to get an inning? Ooh.
Yeah, that's not really working too much on your mechanics. The first step is to get the confidence back. And I think by demoting him, let's face it, starting rotation to the bullpen is quite the demotion for a guy of Sanchez's caliber and the money that he's making. So your confidence is not going to come back that easily. It's going to take probably at least 3 or 4 outings of good pitching from you to get some of that confidence back and start to have, like Brad Ausmus, start to reconsider putting you back in the rotation. But to rediscover some of his old stuff that he used to have just a couple of years ago that made him such a prominent pitcher, AL, ERA champion, whatever the case may be. But now you include a rookie righty in Michael Fulmer who's going out there and pitching, a potential no-hitter, and then you got a second-year a lefty in Matt Boyd that could steal some of your thunder. So there's a lot of things that are going to be going through Sanchez's mind while he's going through
Norris
this.
down there who's not pitching well.
And Steve keeps, and we were mentioning today, we were talking, me and Steve, about we got to bring up Norris. Norris
is doing awful in Toledo. Mm-hmm. Look at Norris's numbers. Look at his previous starts, and that's against minor league teams. Yeah. Put him here, and you can throw another 1-2 runs to that ERA. What he has in AAA. Yeah. He doesn't have it right now.
Yeah, there's something going on with Norris.
Matt Boyd is your temporary fix right now as that fifth starter.
He's a lefty, and that's a good thing, too. I mean, I'll take a lefty, but Matt Boyd's just kind of there. I mean, he's a fifth starter at best, and,
Meanwhile, you have another situation, too. Yes, he is improving, but Mike Pelfrey, hit or miss. I'll have the constructive criticism. Mike Pelfrey. I'll just say that. I don't know any way else to put it, but every time he takes the ball, I'm not watching that game.
Basically, I mean, when I watch Mike Pelfrey on the mound, it's just like...
Smoke weed every day.
Jeez. I wouldn't go that far, but...
sometimes watching him makes you want to do it.
He is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You look at him and you think, wow, this guy was the number 1 pick from the Mets.
Yeah.
and I just don't quite see it. And the Mets have such good starting pitching. You wonder why the Mets would take Mike Pelfrey. Someone tell me why the Mets organization took Mike Pelfrey.
I have no idea.
When you have Noah Syndergaard, Jacob deGrom, Matt Harvey,
good God,
Steven Matz, and then you have the ageless wonder Bartolo Colon.
They were thinking.
Oh, goodness gracious. But hey, you make mistakes and Pelfrey's out of town. But Pelfrey is a guy that you give a lot of money to. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know everybody around Detroit
it's going to go around here as one of the best off-season busts in all of Detroit Tigers history. But right now, like I said, take it with a grain of salt.
If he can win 10 games this year, we'll move forward.
Okay.
And you won't hear
10 games with like a 5.50 ERA though. Like kind of Rick Porcello-ish numbers back in the day.
If you look at Rick Porcello's numbers right now, you'd be like, ooh.
They taught him something here in Detroit. I think we kind of and look what happened. Yeah, I mean, look what happens. I mean, you thought coming into Boston, first year in Boston, would just be very, very stressful on a guy like Porcello, and he has just come into his own there and become. I'm not saying he's an ace by any means, but he's second, third best pitcher. What's that, Justin?
Just lost a no.
No. Rest in peace. That ain't my fault though, but hey, whatever.
It's not. It's probably Mario's fault.
He went 7 innings though without giving a hit, so I'll give it to Fulmer. Good effort.
Hey, kudos. It wasn't Mike Trout, was it?
I'd like.
No.
Okay, good.
Was it Pujols?
Pujols is sitting.
No.
Oh. Who was it?
I don't know.
Oh, damn it.
But moving on, what is your expectations? I want to get to this because this is something we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. What is your expectations for the series? I'm not overlooking tomorrow's makeup game against the Yanks.
Oh, yeah, that is a
Friday,
makeup game, isn't it?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you got the Chicago White Sox, the first, second place team, whatever they're going to be at that time. You're going to see Chris Sale on Saturday, Jose Quintana on Sunday, and you're going to throw Justin Verlander and hopefully Jordan Zimmerman at them too. So what are you thinking for this weekend? And this is a series where you need to go in and you need to say, we're taking 2 or 3. You are not the kingpin of this division.
No longer. Or at least right now. I mean, the thing is that we're kind of hitting the Sox at a good time.
You are. But the Tigers are limping their way in.
They're vulnerable, but the Tigers have also they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. So, you know, if they can hold on to win against the Angels tonight, and they should be able to beat the Yankees tomorrow in a makeup game. They're back at Copa. It's nice to return home. They should win that game.
Michael Pineda on the bump for the Yankees.
We'll see. I mean, I think they'll win that game. So you figure they'll be 26 and 27. Versus a White Sox team that's, you know, kind of hovering around that 500 mark now. I mean, they're a team that's, I think, only 6 games over 500, but we're probably not going to beat Chris Sale. We'll probably drop game 1, but Quintana?
Chris Sale is Saturday.
Or Saturday, okay. So who are we opening up the series with? Friday?
Friday is the White Sox 5th starter.
And that
Rendon.
Okay.
Possibly Rendon. I'm not positive who their 5th starter is off the top of my head. Sale, Quintana, Rendon, Latos, and one other guy. It used to be Jordan Danks, or John Danks, one of the Danks.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive who they replaced him with.
Yeah, so, Carlos Rodon versus Jordan Zimmerman.
So Zimmerman is coming back.
Okay, so we should win that game. We should. The numbers against, let's see who we got here against Tigers versus Rodon. Pretty good numbers, actually. Kinzer's got a dinger off of him. JD's got a dinger off of him. Aviles is actually batting almost 500 against him. Miguel Cabrera batting
and Aviles will probably play.
He probably will. Cameron Maben possibly will get the start. We'll see what happens there. But
Cameron Maben, speaking of the guy, he's dealing with more wrist injuries.
Yep, and it was a matter of time. I knew it was a matter of time. It was too good to be true. The guy comes in here, you know, what was he, like 18 of 32 or something, you know, hitting for the Tigers, and then all of a sudden...
He is in the lineup today.
The Glassford of this team. I mean, Cameron Maben, it's just, he's so fragile. The guy needs to put on some weight. But my goodness, just, he's got to stay healthy. And he is the spark plug. We've mentioned this. I'm taking a line out of Steve Iwinski's book. This guy is the freaking spark plug of this team. When he is in the lineup, when he's in the clubhouse, he will get your team amped up, and he will get you playing. And he's a great defensive aspect in the outfield. Definitely a lot better than...
he's an upgrade over
Ghost. Yeah, exactly. So I like what I see out of Maben if you keep him in the lineup and keep him healthy. So we should be able to win tonight, hold on to the lead, hopefully. We're in the 7th inning.
And that Tigers bullpen's really been great, Derek.
Yeah, we'll see. 2-0 is no safe.
Homer's not going 9.
No, he's not. He'll probably go 8. they'll probably knock him out. And
Francisco Rodriguez has got that mosquito virus.
yeah, he's been battling the Zika. Zika.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, he said he battled it in the off season. He doesn't really have it much now, but
That's fantastic. I'm glad he's healthy.
which is funny because we were talking about that Zika virus after I got back from up north because I got bit very, very often in the elbow area up north. The mosquitoes love me and my brother, trust me. But
Must be that blood you got going on over there.
He contracted the virus in the past off season. He learned just how serious the illness can be. He was laid up for 2 weeks with severe body aches, joint pains, headaches, and a myriad of other symptoms. Considering the effects of the illness are even more devastating for women, especially pregnant women, he advised any athletes contemplating participating in the Olympics to educate themselves and their family members because the Olympics, Summer Olympics, coming up here in a couple of months, the Zika virus spreading quickly.
Yep.
So that'll be something interesting. You would never catch me going over there.
No, thank you.
No, sir. So the Tigers, my final outcome for the Tigers right now is that they will probably take 2 out of 3 against the White Sox. Chris Sale is going to be a very tough commodity to deal with on Saturday, but Quintana on Sunday and then Rodon on Friday, I feel like we could take those games.
The inconsistency.
That's where it comes in.
From all aspects of this Tigers team right now, all season long, it's been up and down, up and down. You can't get too high, you can't get too low, and it's one of those things that it's so frustrating to watch the Tigers bullpen just drop games every single season.
Yep.
And the bullpen's much improved. There's no discredit coming out of my mouth from the bullpen. It's just the fact that they've just been terrible as of late. Lowe's been awful. The Wilson boys have been terrible. Frankie Rodriguez is doing okay for what he's done. The White Sox, you are, as you noted earlier, you're catching them at a good time.
Very good time.
But you are seeing Chris Sale, and you are seeing Jose Quintana.
Tigers hitting, for instance, has proven that they can hit against the best of the best this year.
Chris Sale is ungodly good. Chris Sale is on a league of his own with Clayton Kershaw and Noah Syndergaard. They're those pitchers that no matter how good your offense are, you may have hit Dallas Keuchel and so on and so forth, Sonny Gray, but you going up against Chris Sale is just a game that is scary, and you might want to. You never want to give yourself the L that day.
Yeah.
You might want to stack the lineup with as many righties as you can, which the Tigers are heavily loaded with righties anyway. You better hope that you got to stay in this game. And I think Justin Verlander is pitching for the Tigers on Saturday. So Verlander is one of those guys who is going to shut the door. Against the White Sox. So the game is going to be good. It's going to be a great pitching duel. Saturday's game is, I think, a must-watch game if you're a Tigers fan.
Definitely.
Justin Verlander has his game again. He's got that dominating, and I hate to use his own words, but he's back to his dominating self. And I never thought I'd say that again. Verlander said it in a presser that he's going to return to his dominating self. And who would have thunk it? Him and Kate get engaged. As soon as that happens,
I know.
he took off.
Magic happens. And it's funny because a couple of years ago when he first started dating Kate, people blamed her for kind of being in the downfall.
And then
of his stats.
he hurt his groin.
Then
so that was a very big joke.
But it's helped him though. He's come back from a lot of adversity in the past couple seasons, and he's back kind of like where he used to be. Now, granted, you're probably going to hate me for this, but I've had Verlander benched the last couple of weeks on fantasy. Mainly
some points there, but
mainly because of the fact that he hasn't been getting decisions. In this last start, he got accounted for those 4 runs. So I'm glad I didn't have him starting because that would have hurt me pitching wise. But
why don't you trade him?
I could if you offer me the right guys for him.
I'll look into that.
I might look into that. I might be willing to give you Verlander, especially a guy like me who's ahead of Danny Bartley in fantasy baseball, who was very cocky and at the beginning of the season said, "Oh yeah, everybody's going to be chasing Megabart. Everybody's going to be wanting to chase me because I'm going to probably win everything." So it's nice to see Megabart and not winning fantasy right now. Let's go Poppy. 2 teams.
It's a long season.
It is. We're only a quarter of the way through, so a lot
very
of baseball.
Long season there,
a lot of baseball left to be played, so
tons.
We'll see what happens. Anything else we wanted to cover tonight? I know we weren't going to really talk about wrestling. Was there anything else that you had on your notes that you wanted to talk about?
Go over the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The NBA Finals, Warriors and Cavaliers. LeBron James versus Curry.
Almost forgot.
Everybody wants to talk Curry versus LeBron.
Cavs and 6. Cavs in 6 or Warriors in 7. I don't know. I'm thinking that, Warriors, they could pull off this season, but the Cavaliers, I feel like, I don't know, man. This is a very even series. It's a lot of people was
repeat of last year.
It could, yeah, exact same final. So what happens? Does LeBron get his ring in Cleveland?
Nope.
You going with Golden State? I'm going to go with Golden State in 7.
I'm going Warriors in 7 as well. Now, before the show kicked off, we were discussing this. We were actually discussing a little bit of basketball, which is, who would have thunk that? Derek and Dan talking about basketball. Mm-hmm. But, to our credit, we were discussing, and you did say you thought the Cavs would take this one.
I thought about it, and, the Cavaliers are a tough team, but something tells me that both of these teams have faced adversity, especially in the last round, because the Cavaliers had won, 7 straight games or something, 7 or 8 straight games. So the way I was looking at it is just they're due for a little bit of bad luck.
Curry's a little banged up.
He is a little bit banged up. They're not 100% healthy. Mm-hmm. But after thinking about it, obviously I'm very wishy-washy with basketball. But I thought about it even during this entire show, and I changed my mind a little bit.
Why you change your tune? Because you think that the Magic storybook ending is just the fairy tale continues and the Cinderella story is complete.
I hate LeBron. I just started thinking more and more because James Banco loves LeBron James.
How did I know you were going to bring up his name?
James Banco on Facebook just sucking ass Cleveland Cavaliers. It's just gag me. But I'm totally against LeBron, and even though I guess I figured that I'm already picking the Penguins to win the cup, I got to pick another favorable team that I at least somewhat am rooting for. So that's why I went with Golden State in 7. It's going to be a damn good series, though. Justin, what do you think?
It's going to be a good series. This is a tough one. These are 2 different teams than what they were last year.
Right.
Warriors are a little more banged up this year than what they were last year. And the Cavaliers have everyone back this year, so I'm still going to go with the Warriors. I'm going to take them in 6.
All right. So are we all in agreement? Well, no, you said Cleveland, didn't you?
No. I was the original Warriors in 7.
I'm
all about the Warriors.
All right, so Warriors in 7, and Warriors in 6. I like it. It's just a shame that we don't have anybody to debate with. I was kind of hoping that Chris was going to be on the show tonight.
You should have contacted Mr. James Banco, and we would have had a great discussion about this.
That would have been a very nice debate. It would have been nice to have Chad call in, too, because he could have been able to save our basketball segment. Hell, I almost forgot about talking about it.
Will you be watching any basketball? Are you going to be tuning in? Because potentially,
I've been waiting for the finals.
Now I've looked at some Facebook polls, and more people are more interested in the NBA finals than the Stanley Cup finals. Now, I get it. Basketball probably trumps hockey, and
the names
in the United
LeBron
States,
and Steph Curry, the 2 biggest names in basketball right now. I think that this is going to be like rating central. I think this is probably going to be one of the more highly rated NBA finals in recent years. A lot of people could compare this to like a Kobe and LeBron matchup, or like even a Michael Jordan versus LeBron or something like that.
Bird.
But, yeah, I mean, just to just see who's going to have the better game, as far as a solo performance. I think that with Steph Curry being banged up, LeBron might trump him in that category. But as far as a full team effort is concerned, I think Golden State has the pieces. I feel like they're more of a well-put-together team, a well-oiled team.
Well-oiled machine.
Well-oiled machine is what I was looking for there, yes. That's what I feel that is going to come out of them. With Cleveland, one-man show with LeBron, I feel like...
They got Kevin Love.
They do have Kevin Love, and he was definitely a Pistons fan.
That's got a good squad.
Mm-hmm.
Got Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie. We saw what he did against the Pistons. A lot of people I've been reading about this. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the fact that the Pistons are going to be the one team that can actually challenge the Cavs next year in the Eastern Conference. Now, how much do you believe that? They're a team
Who's your sources on this one?
I read this on...
You can't make Drummond's name a distraction. I think the Pistons have to go out there, take care of business. Are they going to compete? I'm not sure where you heard this from, but it would be nice in a perfect world for them I just don't think. I think they're a couple seasons away.
They're still a couple years.
I think they're 2 or
yeah.
3 years away from being a formidable foe.
They are playing on Christmas Day this coming year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Which is usually reserved for teams like the Lakers, like the Cavs, like Oklahoma, like Golden State. But yeah, they actually
Kobe Bryant's not around anymore to take the Christmas spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be LeBron, or it's going to be Curry, or it's going to be Durant, or whoever. Yeah, obviously, Kobe's done for, and it is what it is.
A lot of people have been talking about the Pistons probably won't contend for the title as long as they have Drummond as their centerpiece. That's a guy that's kind of been like a cancer on this team. You kind of got to move Drummond.
I think he has a really, really poor attitude. I think that he could, I don't know if he's really a cancer
right
in the locker room, but what's that?
That's how you build the team around.
He is. He's the guy that you can. But if he's the outspoken cancer to a clubhouse, I don't think you want to keep a guy like that around.
I think a lot of people are basing this all off of his performance being on the bench in the first round of the playoffs.
He also can't make free throws, and that's a big thing on his resume that you don't want to. You look at that and you're like, oh, guy can't make free throws, and he's a superstar caliber player. It's just
this critical offseason is more about Stan Van Gundy and Tom Gore's response than it is the players. It's how you're going to respond to how close the series was against Cleveland. Because, I mean, come on, let's be honest. Detroit gave Cleveland probably the best run of all the teams combined. Until you got to the finals, the Raptors, they were no match at all against Cleveland. So, the worst mistake that Van Gundy and Gores can make this summer is thinking that they have limitless time watching Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, Tobias Harris, Stanley Johnson grow into a formidable core. A lot of people think that this is who you're going to build your team around, but you still got some important pieces that you could pick up too. Mm-hmm. Now, defense is going to be a cause for concern. We'll see what kind of moves they make in the offseason as far as, making this team better, but they're not far off. They're a team that now you kind of got to go from, all right, you made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. Now your next goal is to be put into places to try to win a playoff series. You're not going to go from this to going to the NBA championship. You got to win a series first.
Especially, you're talking about beating the potentially NBA champion Cavaliers. I know that I'm giving them the title a little soon, and I'm not even picking them to go as far as winning the championship. So that's a big, big, bold prediction, and I like bold predictions. And I'll make one before hockey season starts this season. When I see the off-season play about and the draft play about, I'll make my bold predictions for the hockey season. So I'm not going to go and make a bold prediction for the NBA. Mm-hmm. But I would say that's a little bit risky of a bold prediction. Respect it. And, gosh, I would hope it comes true. Wouldn't it be great to see the Pistons irrelevant and competing again? I don't know. Knocking off the Cavs and LeBron, that's a big, big step. And they did make big steps this year, but I don't think it's quite that big yet. I think that's 2 to 3 years away.
I think the biggest problem for the Pistons is that you got to look at the entire NBA, and you got to look at teams, especially like Golden State and Cleveland, is that the best players on the best teams are the best finishers. Now, the Pistons, for what they showed in the NBA playoffs in that short first round series, is that they can start, they can play throughout the middle of the games, they can't finish games. Their team just did not seem to play a full two halves, and that's, I think, what was the biggest downfall of them not winning at least a game or two against Cleveland. I was bold. I thought the Pistons would take that series in 6. Well, not take the series, but win 2 games to make it go 6 games.
I remember you saying how you thought
because they were close.
The Pistons might be able to pull off the upset.
They were close, and I'm reading an article here on the Free Press site about the Pistons, and I guess they're talking about Drummond. He's currently isn't a better player than Oklahoma City center Steven Adams. There's been a lot of talk about Steven Adams, he's a better rim protector than Drummond, and Adams' effectiveness is heightened because he plays behind 2 offensive stars. He plays behind Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Makes him a better guy. Makes him look better.
With Durant
and Westbrook, I mean, you can't go wrong there. So
significantly different.
What makes Adams and Drummond similar is that they both turned 23 this summer. Drummond's about to receive a big-time maxed-out contract because Van Gundy and Gores have, they publicly sold him as the anchor and the cornerstone of the future.
Yes,
and as Justin just said, this is the guy you build around. But you got to also start worrying about your entire core. This team arguably doesn't really have a top 20 NBA player that plays for it because of their youth, because they're so young. So,
but really, looking back at the good old days of Chauncey, Rip, Ben, was any of those guys top 20?
They weren't. They played. Their team played as a whole top 20 player,
exactly.
if not better. I mean,
and that's how you take down the San Antonios, the Lakers, the Cavs, the big formidable forces, the juggernaut teams that you think that takes a superstar, but really you can take down those teams with a good team in general, a good roster.
We're going to find out a lot in about 2 or 3 weeks. They got that 18th overall pick in the draft, June 23rd. You know, what are they going to do? They have a few extra dollars that they can spend in as far as the cap space. They could pick up some players. You know, players will get grossly overpaid this summer with a salary cap that could reach as much as $93 million. You know, the NBA is starting to gorge at the bloated television revenues. You know, they have some of the highest paid revenues because of the ratings that they're getting, especially this NBA Finals. So we'll see. You know, the Pistons have a decent future ahead of them, but they really got to contemplate what they're going to build around as far as if they're going to use Drummond as that centerpiece. There's a few haters out there that don't want to see that happen. They want to see some more veteran talent surrounded with this youth. So
that's Drummond's a youth as he goes. So there you have it. He's 23, 24 years old, as you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
That is the guy that you build around. Do you want to give him that max contract? Is the biggest debate, or do you let him walk?
I wouldn't walk him just yet. I mean, obviously he's still young where you can say like, oh, well, wait till he gets the maximum value out of him. Well, he's only played for a couple years, right? So let him showcase what he has in the next couple of years and see what happens. And, you know, let's see how this draft comes about in the next couple of weeks and see where we are from there. But the Pistons, you know, they're a team that I can see making the playoffs in consecutive seasons. But that first and foremost goal is to try to win that first playoff series. And you got to try to not be an eighth seed because you're going to face a team like Cleveland every year, probably in that case. You want to try to, and this is a team that had the potential to be a fifth or even a sixth seeded playoff team in the Eastern Conference all season long. They were just very inconsistent. So my goal that I would want to set if I'm Stan Van Gundy is just try to raise that playoff seed a little bit more. Start playing more consistent ball throughout the whole season. That's all you can do. And
you hope for the best, and you hope that your players rise to the expectations. You hope that you get the growth.
They're not a top 3 team or even a top 5 team right now in the Eastern Conference, but they can be a 6th or a 7th seed, in my opinion, and try to avoid playing a team like Cleveland. That you played rough. You played tough in the first round. So
absolutely. That's all you can do.
Well, with that note...
quick scoring update.
Oh, yeah.
San Jose and Pittsburgh.
Yes.
14-30 in the second period. Zip, zip.
Okay. Looking good so far.
Both goaltenders have very limited action so far. So
been a defensive game. I like it.
Sounds like it's going to be another dandy in Pittsburgh.
Well, let's hope that this time the Sharks don't come out with the short end of the straw in this game. So they need this game too badly. Like you said, Danny, it's not a must-win, so to speak, but it's going to change the entire complexity of the series. If the Sharks can take... You know, if they can split this series to go back to San Jose 1-1, it's going to be big strides for them come Game 3 in San Jose. So, Go Sharks! But with that being said, I think we're going to call this one a podcast, gentlemen. It's been another good show, a lot to talk about. We didn't go too long tonight, about 2.5 hours. Had a little technical malfunction there, but I was able to get the video back up. We only killed about maybe 10 or 12 seconds on that, so maybe
not bad.
We'll combine the videos together, hopefully, and do some editing and make it come out nice.
Sounds lovely.
So...
Before we get off the show, I got to say something real quick.
What?
Because it's on my mind.
Yes.
And besides watching our beloved Detroit Tigers this weekend,
yes,
there's a movie coming out. And I got to go for it. And I know someone's rolling their eyes right now. A couple people probably that's listening to this show. Reliving Our Childhood.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Exactly.
Seamus playing a bad guy.
Seamus is Rocksteady, I believe.
Yeah, Rocksteady, yeah.
Stephen Amell is Casey Jones.
I'm sorry.
Megan Fox?
Yeah, I'm going to like that.
How are you not
I like that.
in seeing this?
I will watch it when it comes out on HBO. I don't know, man. I was not... they've remade this now, what, 2 or 3 times?
No, this is the second one.
Well, they did TMNT. Is this
that was the first one. This is the whole second movie. This is with the villains and Casey
So
Jones.
this is still. I
this
wasn't
sequel.
knowing that this was a reboot. If this
No,
is,
it's not a
this is-
reboot.
all right, this is a sequel to TMNT. Okay, because TMNT was made like in what 2010.
Yeah.
This is like 6 years in the
this
making.
looks like it's going to be pretty good.
We'll see. But I was never. You're gonna think I'm weird because we grew up in the era of TMNT, like
And
early
I did
90s.
see, and for the record, I did see X-Men Apocalypse.
Good.
Very good.
Okay.
Better than what I expected. It wasn't terrible.
Right.
Nothing really that grabs your attention at the end of the credits. It wasn't like Deadpool or anything like
Right.
that. But definitely looking forward to seeing Ninja Turtles. And I know someone saying that in their mid-20s. Maybe that's a little bit kiddish, but this movie has a lot of potential to be something funny for all ages.
Yeah, it has a different type of humor to it.
I'm hoping that it surprises me. The first Ninja Turtles, I was really like, about. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
I never saw it.
So
I was never a huge TMNT fan growing up. I mean, I watched the cartoon series sometime before school, but it was never really. I was not a big TMNT person growing
I'm
up.
a huge Stephen Mel fan. Plays Arrow, and he's Casey Jones, so I'm looking forward to that. And Megan Fox, obviously, we all know who that is. So it looks like
her first role since I think the Transformer movies. I haven't seen her in much.
she was in TMNT 1.
Yeah, but it's been a few years.
She's had a few, I think, B-rated movies.
She's had a kid too.
Yep. So she's on her way up.
Well, if you go see it this weekend, definitely give us a brief review next week. No spoilers, of course.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so I think with that we're going to call this up on a podcast. We have the water to cheers.
We have water.
So in that, we're going to call this one a podcast. So on behalf of myself and Danny and Justin on the phone, thanks for calling in, man. We're going to call this one a podcast and see you guys next week. Toodles.
All right.